The next thing we are going to do is learn how to manipulate files and directories. So the first thing is, how do you make a new directory? Let's make a new directory called new_dir. The command for making a directory is mkdir, and then in front of it we will put the name of the new directory we are creating. And then we say enter. Let's do ls-F. And now we have a new directory called new_dir. So if we were to say mkdir and new space dir, what happens? Let's take a look. I'm going to use the up arrow key to go back to ls-F, press enter, and you will notice that now we have three new directories: new_dir, new, and dir. Why does Unix do this? Unix doesn't understand the concept of having a space in the same name. So when you are naming things in Unix, make sure you use just one word. It can have dashes, underscores, dots, so on and so forth. But if you wanted to call something new space dir, that's really not advisable in the Unix setup. So let's remove the two new directories we created. We just want to remove the new and the dir. We don't want to remove the new_dir. We've learned about the rm command. Let's try it out. If we say rm space new, one at a time, say enter, it says rm cannot remove new and that it is a directory. So what we need to use to remove directories using rm is a flag. So we say rm and the flag is -r space name of the directory we want to remove, new. Let's see if this worked. We didn't get an error message, so it's most likely worked. So we no longer have the new directory. So what does this -r do? Where can we get more information about what these flags are doing, and how do we know what flags to use and when? The command to get more information about any given command is man or manual space rm. Press enter, and now you can use the up and down arrow keys to walk through this manual page. So if we keep going, we'll notice that there is a -r, small r or capital R flag. This will recursively remove directories and their contents. To get out of this system and back to the command prompt, just press Q. This will bring you back to the command prompt. If you want to get rid of all of this stuff, you can just say clear and press enter, and now you're starting with a clean slate again. Let's back up the Unix exercise directory. We can copy the whole directory to a new directory. Because we are working with a directory in this case again, we have to use the -r flag. So cp -r, and we give it the name of the directory we want to copy, space, and the name of the directory we want to call it. So we are going to call it Unix exercise _backup. Press enter, and let's change directories to the Unix exercise directory. Let's create a new file using touch. Our file name is going to be new_file.txt. Now we want to move this file to the home directory, and in this case it's the parent directory. So the command to move files around is mv, and just like copy, mv needs two inputs. First, it needs the name of the file you're moving, and the second thing it needs is the destination of this file. So mv new_file.txt, and we want to move this to the home directory, and we are going to give it the full path to our home directory. So /home/vagrant, and we press enter, and let's check if this file exists in the home vagrant folder. And look, there is a file called new_file.txt. Now we are going to change directories and go back to the home directory. We can just say cd, and in this case I'm going to say cd space .. Remember, .. takes you to your parent directory. And in this case, I know that the home directory is my parent directory. So mv, the move command, does two things. It can move files, but it can also rename files. There isn't a different rename command in Unix. So to rename files, you still use the move command. So for example, if we wanted to call new_file.txt home new_file.txt because it's in our home directory, we would say mv. Remember, the move command needs two things. The first is the name of the file. It's either moving or renaming. And the second thing is the location where it's moving something to, or the new name it's renaming the file to. In this case, we give it the name of the new file that we want to call it. And we press enter. And if we say ls, the new file.txt has been renamed to home new file.txt. So as we start doing more with files and folders, one thing to keep in mind is that Unix doesn't really give you a warning when you overwrite a file. So if you had a file named foo.txt and you came in and you decided to change the name of your other file called fob.txt to foo.txt, Unix doesn't care that foo.txt already existed, and it's not going to give you a warning message. So be careful when you're naming files. Just do a list, check what file names you already have. So far we've played with some files, with some directories, and we've played with some basic commands. Now let's learn about commands that let us see the contents of a given file. The most basic command is cat, C-A-T, or catenate. First, let's change directories to Unix_exercise. cd Unix exercise, say enter. Let's take a look at what files exist inside. Say we wanted to look at the readme.txt file. We can say cat readme.txt, enter. So what does this say? This gives us some information about what's inside the Unix exercise directory. This may not be up to date, but it still gives you an idea of how to look at the contents of a file. Another way to look at the contents of a file are the commands head and tail. The way in which these two commands differ from the cat command is that they don't spit out all the contents of a file onto your terminal. They just either give you the top 10 lines or the bottom 10 lines, or any number of lines that you specifically ask them for. So let's play with it. Let's try this out. Let's change directory into the sequence directory. If you've noticed, during this module, we are using the word directory and folder interchangeably. Let's list the contents of this folder. There's only one file in it. It's called chr4.fa. Say we wanted to look at the first 10 lines of the file. We would use the head command that we just talked about. It would just be head space and name of the file, and we'd press enter. And now it's listing the top 10 lines of this file. What if we wanted to look at the bottom 10 lines of this file? We would say tail, file name, enter. Now we are looking at the far end of chromosome 4. What if we wanted to look at only the first 3 lines of this file? We can use head with a specific flag. The flag in this case is -n, which stands for number of lines. And then if we want 3 lines, we would say 3 here, space again, and we would say the name of the file we want to list. And so now we can only look at the first 3 lines. What if we wanted to look at the contents of the whole chr4.fa file? But we know it's a really large file, and spilling the contents of it onto the terminal window is really not going to be helpful at all. There is a command called less that we can use. So if we say less space chr4.fa and we press enter, and this is very similar to what we saw when we used the man command earlier. Again, just like in the man command, you can use the up and down arrow keys to go through this file and look at the contents. And if you want to come back to the command prompt, all you have to do is say Q And now you have your $sign back. And if we don't want to look at all of the contents that we are still able to see from the file that we just did less on, we can just say clear. The clear command just clears your terminal.